Welcome to the Wild Medicine Podcast. My name is Taraney, the owner of earthly.com, a sacred path to inner healing, self-discovery, and creativity. I am an energy healer and professional artist ready to reweave ceremony and heart-centeredness into humanity. Wild Medicine is a podcast to hold sacred space to learn the ancient ways of wellness. We talk about anything from spiritual alchemy to astrology and even trauma transmutation. It is my mission to educate you on the wild medicines of our world and to show you the way to unleash your personal power. This podcast is full of episodes with both just me and plenty of our powerful guests. Each episode we will bring to you the medicines of story, knowledge, and transformation. Now is our divine time to step into the sacred space and to take in all the powerful knowledge that I have for you today. Sit back, relax, and always tune in. Take what you need and leave whatever does not serve you. It is my honor to bring this message forth for you. Please enjoy. Hello and greetings everyone. I am so grateful to be here with you guys for another episode. And for this week's episode, it is going to be another solo episode with just me. And I'm actually looking forward to this. This has been something I've been wanting to talk about for a very long time. And in honor of Suicide Awareness Week, I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to actually come and talk to you guys about not just my story with mental health and suicide and depression, but also raise some awareness for you guys that you may not know and some new ways that you guys may not be aware of on how you can actually nurture your mind, body, and spirit, not just to ease yourself in times of anxiety and stress and depression, but to prevent yourself from getting there. I think that there's a lot of talk on how to relax yourself and how to nourish yourselves in those moments. But I think the ultimate goal for all of us is to actually work our magic to not get to that point. And of course, this is something for a lot of people, especially if you do clinically suffer from depression, that kind of fades in and out of your life. And I am one of those people. I do my best to let you guys know transparently on my story and my experience and my struggles, my day-to-day struggles. And, I thought in honor of this week, it would be a beautiful opportunity for me to come forth and share with you guys a little bit deeper about my experience. And, I think if you've listened to my earlier episodes on my in my podcast and my introduction and kind of like how I got to be where I am today, you know kind of a little bit about my background and my family life growing up and things that I've experienced. And all of that has definitely just jacked up my nervous system, and basically why I am such an advocate for holistic health and such an advocate for wellness overall is because I am constantly in a perpetual state of nourishing myself so that I don't hit rock bottom again, because I definitely have. And even it hurts to say, it really hurts to say that I have, attempted to commit suicide. And thank God it didn't work. Thank God I have people in my life who, I was able to talk to after that time and kind of get out of that dark place. And thank God that that I have angels watching over me who stopped that from happening. But it is something that I have dealt with and tried to do. It is something that I struggle with. I used to, do a lot of self-harm. I used to cut myself, and then when I would quit cutting myself, I would perpetually hit myself. When I was 15, I would literally have knots on my head and bruises on my face and my legs from just getting so angry that I would just hit myself in frustration. And although that yes, it definitely released that anger and frustration and just madness and got it out of me, I think that it maybe would have worked better if I hit a pillow rather than my physical body. Because sometimes, we just gotta let it out. But I think the key is to not hurt ourselves and to, break the cycle of actually self-harming. And self-harming can look like many things. It can look like eating. It can look like, going to foods that aren't good for you, or overeating that are in a way that's not good for you. It can be, reclusing and, staying more inside of yourself and not allowing yourself to experience the pleasure of the world. It can be going to your electronic devices and indulging in those areas. It can be negative thoughts. I think mental harm and emotional harm can go in so many places. And I really just want you guys to kind of take a step back and see where you might be harming yourself emotionally. And I know for me, a lot of times I do this to distract myself by working or, scrolling on my phone or having negative thoughts, or even sometimes even shopping or eating. These things, I know that I do them to distract myself from my emotional state. And I think that the first step is really becoming aware of them, because once you become aware of them, you can change them. And I think that that's, as I've matured out of, the deepest and darkest places within my mental illnesses, or, points of dis-ease, that's what's really helped me, is taking note of where I am distracting myself emotionally and how I could do better for myself to not distract myself and to actually go into what I'm feeling and figure out a solution to relieve that pain. Because no matter what, we're always going to experience pain. We're always going to experience sadness. We're always going to feel that hurt in our heart. It's part of being human. It's part of experiencing what life has to offer. It's part of learning lessons. And the better that we can learn how to cope with those moments and to truly integrate them into our life, the better we're able to actually be resilient and, help others through this process. And it really breaks my heart, because I recently had a friend from high school commit suicide, and it just breaks my heart when I heard that he committed suicide, and it's something I'm still grieving over. I haven't really spoken much about it because, like I've told you guys before, I kind of go through these things in my own world and kind of share about them when I'm ready to, and I feel like I'm kind of in a space where I'm ready to talk about how I'm really feeling about his suicide. And I haven't really talked to any of our old friends or people that we would hang out with, which I definitely should reach out to everybody. But it's just so hard, because I knew he was depressed, and I think that I'm not saying if I reached out to him that he wouldn't have committed suicide. That's something that I don't have control over, but I think that we can all kind of go out of our way more to show more love and show more support for the people in our lives. And by doing that, we can create a ripple effect. And there was one day where I was driving, and I'd passed his old apartment that we used to hang out at. And I was thinking of that memory and that time, and I was damn, I wonder how he's doing now. And I was damn, I don't know. I felt this tightness, and I felt this pain, and I was ooh, he's probably in a dark space right now. Especially because I am empathic and psychic in that way. I could really feel that when I tuned into him. And then sure enough, within a week, I found out that he committed suicide. And it breaks my heart. And so this has really kind of gotten me thinking, especially now that it's Suicide Awareness Week, and I just want to share with you guys, and I know that I have so many friends and family members and people that are actually very close in my life who listen to this podcast, and then there's a lot of you who I may not know immediately, who are just listeners and who are supporters of my work, who I know that you guys need to hear this message as well. So I'm very much looking forward to releasing this podcast. And I'm very much looking forward to building this conversation and kind of extending this conversation beyond the podcast and beyond this moment where I'm talking about it with you guys. I want this to be an ongoing conversation with the people in my life and genuinely tuning into how are you feeling? What are you going through right now? What's weighing heavy on your heart? How can we make that better? I think that so often it's very easy for us to say, like, oh, I'm okay, or yeah, I'm going through this, like, yeah, it sucks, but I'm doing okay. But it's like, how can we change this? Like, if you're working a job that's draining you, how can you change that? And that doesn't always mean quitting that job. Sometimes you have to do something outside of that job to better your mental health so that you can be more resilient in that job. Or even for me, for school, it's super freaking hard for me to be in school. Like, so hard, guys. Like, I can't even explain how difficult it is for me simply because of the mental exhaustion that it gives me, and just all the electromagnetic frequencies and the fluorescent lights and all the people. I'm super sensitive. I am definitely a highly sensitive person, and being in an environment like that is really hard on me, not just on my mind and my spirit, but also my nervous system. And so I know that outside of school, outside of those hours when I have to be in that building with those people, I need to be nourishing myself on the deepest level so that I can go in there with a shield of protection around me. And majority of that does come from nourishing your nervous system. And and finding ways that you can actually be resilient, not just within your mind, but also your body and spirit, because we know this is all connected. You can't have, having your mind out of balance, but having your body and your spirit in balance. Like, there's disharmony there. Everything needs to be cohesive, and that's the whole, medicinal properties in approaching a holistic health and a holistic lifestyle, is making sure that you're keeping yourself in balance for optimum wellness. And I'm a huge advocate of that, and I know that through my own journey of depression, finding integration and finding modalities and practices that are interdisciplinary between healing my mind, body, and spirit has what's gotten me out of those dark places. I haven't it's been years since I've even attempted to commit suicide, and sometimes not recently, but there have been times when those thoughts come up, and all you can do in those moments is catch those thoughts, cancel them, and clear them, and celebrate with a better and happier and more potent thought. Especially because I used to self-harm, and I feel like a lot of people who do self-harm, when we get stressed out or we get anxious or we get in a space of depression, it's really, really tempting for us to go back into that self-harm, because it is an addiction. It 100% is an addiction. It's something that I still have to work very hard to cancel and clear out of my life. Like, when I get stressed out or anxious, literally my arm that I used to self-harm starts to tingle, and I can feel the tension in it, and I actually have it almost feels like tendonitis in that arm, and I feel like a lot of it is because I would cut myself on that arm, and I probably messed up some nerves and probably messed up some stuff, and just the whole vibration on this arm feels weird, which is why I have a huge tattoo on it, which covers majority of my scars. And I did that so that when I get those feelings and when I get those urges to hurt myself, I can look down and see this beautiful piece of artwork and look in it and see the scars that it's covering up, and remind myself that that's not a good idea, and that I don't deserve that, and that there's a better way to cope with myself, with my inner emotions and what I'm going through. And I invite you guys to find those anchors, find that one thing or multiple things that in those moments when you're really contemplating, like you're so angry, like you just want to freaking do something crazy to just get you out of it and center yourself. And sometimes that doesn't mean sitting down and breathing deep. Sometimes that means yelling. Sometimes that means hitting a pillow. Sometimes that means slamming a door. I'm honestly, in my perspective, I think it's kind of healthy to do those things, because it's better than physically hurting somebody else or physically hurting yourself in a way that's detrimental. If you have to punch a pillow, or you have to slam a door, if you have to yell at the top of your lungs, by all means do it. Sometimes I do it in my car when I get angry and I just yell, and it's okay. It's good. It's good to relieve that tension in our body in a forceful way. That way it's not lingering in us. But the thing is to keep it safe. So whatever that looks like for you, for me, I can only share off my own experiences, and if that's not safe for you, then obviously don't do that. But I think that we're so quick to be like, oh no, just step back and breathe. But like when you do that, you also, like most times, you're spiritually bypassing or mentally or whatever bypassing that experience and releasing that energy and fully grasping what you're experiencing. Don't bypass it. Express yourself. Get it out. But do it in the most safe way possible. And I think that the more that I figured that out and connected those dots into my head, the less suicidal I felt, because I wasn't holding myself back from feeling these emotions, but rather I was allowing myself to express them in a healthy way. And I can remember, like, when my boyfriend, like my last boyfriend, we were together for a really long time, and I remember when he broke up with me, I was super heartbroken. And my way of expressing the anger was literally, well, I cried all night. But then when I went to school and I had to go to my art class, I found this old, like, wooden board, and I just took the deepest, like, reds and purples and just, like, browns and yellows and, like, these deep, warm colors, and I just, like, threw the paint and, like, splattered the paint all over this board outside and kind of just went ham on it and allowed myself to get angry and to, like, throw the paint and to express myself artistically with that force and with that anger. And it was so beautiful. And then once I kind of had calmed down like a few days or a few weeks after we had broken up and I had really come to terms with it, I went and painted over that deep, like, very angry looking painting with purples and blues and whites, and I kind of did them in a swirly way that looks like, you know, fluid streams or fluid tears kind of flowing down, and then I painted the pi ratio on it. So that it was just that's a cool way that I have found to express myself artistically and explore art therapy in a way of releasing anger and depression. So there's many different things that you guys can do. And one thing that's really helped me when I am experiencing anxiety, because I am a highly sensitive person, and I kind of just want to touch on the difference between being a highly sensitive person and being an empath. I think that these terms are kind of like thrown around a little bit, especially the word empath. It's kind of, I think, because a lot of people in our culture don't necessarily, those traditions and the medicinal qualities of what we're experiencing have been severed and we're kind of lost. A lot of people are using the term as empath to kind of explain themselves and explain that psychic ability or psychic quality that they're experiencing. And some of us are empaths, but there are a lot of people who are actually highly sensitive people. And then there's other people who experience different things that are outside of highly sensitive people and empaths. So the difference between an empath and a highly sensitive person, and if you do experience depression and anxiety and intense emotions to where you're getting suicidal and self-destructive and getting in a really dark place, you most likely are one of these two. And when you're a highly sensitive person, that actually legitimately means that you are highly sensitive. You can be sensitive to light. You can be sensitive to sounds. You can be sensitive to environment. You can be sensitive to electronics. You can be sensitive to colors. You can be sensitive to smells. You're sensitive in these specific ways that can easily cause you to get overwhelmed, which perpetuates that anxiety space within us. And that's why, like, I identify as a highly sensitive person, because I definitely am sensitive in that way. Like, I don't really like going out to, like, big public places because I definitely am sensitive to the collective consciousness that's within that area. I'm sensitive to sound, especially music. If I'm at a concert, if I'm somewhere where the vibration of the music is not at, like, a nice level, or it's, like, very harsh, I feel sick. I literally feel sick. And smells, if, like, I'm very sensitive with smell. So there's lots of areas that I've been able to kind of learn and become aware of so that I can better navigate those experiences and kind of either prepare myself for them or get myself out of them. And for empaths, typically empaths are people who feel so like infused in other people's emotions and experiences, and just overall well-being. Like, you can literally feel what they're going through, you can feel what they're thinking, and it's a psychic ability in the realm of feeling. So a lot of people really do feel that, and I do, but I would say I'm more of a highly sensitive person, and the fact that I am a highly sensitive person, I'm much more able to be aware of what the people in my environment are going through, because I am sensitive in that way. So yeah, anxiety is a real thing, and that's just kind of a little bit of background on those two terms. And I wish I would have wrote down remembered what was their name? I can't remember their name, but there was this book that I was like reading a little bit for a while there about highly sensitive people, and the author had spoke of that around 20% of a collective group, there's about 20% of that group that is a highly sensitive person. And so that can be in a society, that can be in a friend group, or in a class, or just kind of like groups of people. Typically, there's 20% of them who are highly sensitive people. And it makes sense because it's a defense mechanism. It's an ability for us to actually show up and to be aware of our surroundings and be hyper aware and to keep things safe. And then there's those other people who have their other purposes, like the warriors, or like the intellectuals, and like the people who go out and do the other things. So highly sensitive people and empaths, you do have a purpose here, and you have a very strong purpose. And so it's up to us to kind of find that purpose and to nurture it in that way to better, secure and take care of ourselves. And so a couple of ways that I wanted to share with you guys that have really helped and just transformed my experience with anxiety, because this is something I still am definitely healing from, and I definitely don't know if I will be able to get rid of my anxiety as long as I am in a very populated city with 5G and pollution and just all these things that I know affect my emotional well-being and my sensitivities. So I've had to kind of curate different ways for me to actually navigate my anxiety and to nourish my nervous system and my mind and my body and my spirit, so that if I am going in an environment that typically will set me off, I can kind of go to these tools to better help myself. And so one thing that has really, really helped me, that you can really easily keep with you in your purse or in your car, is aromatherapy tools. And so aromatherapy is quite literally the therapy of aromas and smells. And so some of the smells that I typically use to help myself during times of anxiety, if I'm starting to feel anxious, I'm kind of getting that feeling inside of me, or I'm getting those obsessive thoughts, I will, I'll get some lavender. I have some lavender essential oil, or I might use some rose, like a rose spray that smells like rose, or a rose essential oil, high quality one. I'll use ylang ylang. Bergamot is super good if you're feeling just emotionally overwhelmed or even depressed. Bergamot is amazing. And also jasmine. Jasmine is a beautiful smell to kind of carry you out of that stress. And so those flowers and herbs are extremely medicinal in their aromatherapy properties. And so you can quite literally just, dab that essential oil or that spray onto the pressure points on your body, and allow them to sink in. And when they sink into your skin, they go into your nervous system and your blood, and your body's actually able to absorb it, and you're actually able to smell it on yourself too. So I like to do that in the morning before I go to school, or before I lead a ceremony, or I do a talk, or even something like this with a podcast, something that I know that kind of gets my nerves a little shaken up, because I am human too. I go to those things to prepare myself, or say if I'm in an uncomfortable situation, I keep those essential oils in my purse so that I can easily pull them out and use them real quick, and to kind of calm myself down. It's like a ritual that you can do to get yourself kind of in track during those moments. And another thing that I've recently started doing that has been completely shape-shifting my world in so many ways, like so many ways, is actually using herbal infused body oils. So this is different than essential oils and aromatherapy. This is actually infusing an oil, so that could be sweet almond oil or olive oil or even argan oil or coconut oil. There's so many different oils. You literally put dried herb, get a whole jar of that dried herb, and then pour oil over the top, and you let that seep for about 4 to 5 weeks. And then once it's done, you can drain out the oil and catch the herbs. So you can use like a cheesecloth. I just use like an old t-shirt that's pretty thin, and you just get all that oil out, and then you can use that oil on your body. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to be oily, or I don't like that feeling. And it's like, of course, like I totally respect that, but at the same point, like you don't have to use that much oil to where your whole body is like gross and oily. Like a little bit goes a long way, and especially if you do it at times where you're just going to be at home, or maybe you're going to bed, or you're just waking up. You can do it at times where like it can be comfortable for yourself, and you can even get like a specific outfit or a specific cozy like pajamas or something that you can wear to help that oil feeling, so that you're not getting it on your nice clothes or whatnot. And it is so good for you, and it's so easy to do. You can get herbal infused oils from so many different herbalists, but you can also make it yourself if you're feeling creative in that way. And it's super easy to do. I've been doing it. I just finished my batch of St. John's Wort and Yarrow oil, which has been doing amazing magic for my nervous system and kind of curing my anxiety. Like, I actually haven't had an anxiety attack in a couple weeks, so I think definitely that body oil is helping since I started using that. And then I'm also making one with lavender, just lavender herb, and then I'm making another one right now with St. John's Wort, since I felt the St. John's Wort was so powerful in there. So yeah, that's what I'm doing, and it's super amazing because our skin, like there's a direct connection between being dehydrated and your mental health. And that's not just like, oh, you need more water in your organs and in your body. It's like your skin gets dehydrated too. And a lot of people will use lotion, which lotion's okay, but lotion is typically water-based, and a lot of times there's unnatural like fragrances and unnatural like products and stuff in there that aren't really good for you. So like putting that on, like, yeah, I guess it hydrates your skin, but it might be counterintuitive if you're trying to do it for anxiety. And also you can do body oil and not have the herbal infusion. Like say you just want to get coconut oil, or you just want to get argan oil or sweet almond oil, you can put that directly on your body without it having to be infused with herbs. Having it infused with herbs is just like an extra up, like an extra like hell yeah. But yeah, so it's amazing. And when your skin is dehydrated, you can and it gets dehydrated all the time, even if you're not like looking dry or whatever, your skin's probably still dehydrated because we're humans and we're just sucking up all the water that we can get. And so if you put it on your skin, directly under our skin is our nervous system. And so once that oil seeps through the skin, it goes directly to the nervous system and hydrates the nervous system and lubricates the nervous system, which is extremely, 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 extremely important. Because there's scientific studies shown that if our nervous system is dehydrated, we are so much more likely to have attacks under our sympathetic nervous system and our overall mental health and wellness. And so by nourishing your skin with oils, you're actually also nourishing your nervous system. And when you nourish your nervous system, you are doing exactly what you need to do to get yourself into a resilient state for your mind, body, and spirit. If you're not familiar with the nervous system, we have the sympathetic nervous system and we have the parasympathetic nervous system. And so the sympathetic nervous system is the system within our nerves that actually brings us into that state of fight or flight, or that we go into when we're anxious and feeling, a lot of tension within our emotions and our mind, body, and spirit. And so a lot of people kind of are living in a perpetual state of sympathetic nervous system attack, because they're working stressful jobs, you're maybe eating food that's not that good for you, and you're not taking time to nourish your parasympathetic nervous system. And so the parasympathetic nervous system is actually the system, sorry, these tongue twisters, guys, that relaxes you and brings you nourishment and brings you ease and grace within the mind, body, and spirit. And so the goal is for us to stay in a state of the parasympathetic nervous system. And when you're using body oils or aromatherapy, you are nourishing the parasympathetic nervous system. And there's a lot of other ways that you can nourish your parasympathetic nervous system. You can go out into nature. Putting your feet on the earth has been proven to nourish the nervous system and keeping the Earth's electromagnetic field in alignment with your electromagnetic field and helping you ground down so that you're not living in high stress. And you can also do body work, whether that means walking, going on a run, going to doing yoga, or doing cycling or some form of movement. It kind of gets like all the density in your nervous system shaken up and activates the release of toxins in the nervous system, as well as like the body and whatnot. So kind of doing body work definitely helps the parasympathetic nervous system, as well as meditation and prayer and mindful breathing. So when we're working with prayer or meditation or whatever that looks like for you, when you're sitting down and tuning in and closing out the outside world and just focusing on your energy and your prayers and your blessings, it does wonders for the sympathetic nervous system. And that's been proven. There's literally research studies, and I dare you guys, I wish I could share them all here. I don't have all that time to do that. Maybe if I hire an assistant, I can totally do that for you guys. But I would rather prefer you guys go out and research this stuff for yourself. Definitely go research on how prayer affects the parasympathetic nervous system, how connecting with the earth, and find out this for yourself. Because when I researched this and found all of this knowledge, it blew my mind, and I felt like I was able to take it in much deeper than I can even bring it for you on this podcast. Like, I can show you and I can tell you, but you gotta learn and you gotta do it for yourself too. As well as animals. Animals are amazing, and that's why you see a lot of people with emotional support animals. I have one. Yenna is my registered service animal, because when I was starting to get into my deep anxiety and stress and emotional dis-ease, I got Yenna to help me, because I knew and I had done extensive research on how I can help myself, and animals was one of the best, most acceptable and easy ways to nourish the nervous system. The chemistry between animals and humans, when we create that domestic connection and we are able to rely on them, it kind of creates a relationship where we're able to nourish each other. And Yenna is such a big testimony of that. Like, she helps me so much. So just connecting with your animals, and you don't have to register them as like an emotional support animal or whatever. I just did that so that I could take her into public with me when I'm feeling anxious or scared. But she actually, like, just hanging out with them, just petting them, taking them on walks, playing with them, feeding them, just doing stuff to engage with them, to take care of them, helps you better take care of your inner world too, in a beautiful way. So yeah, in order to heal your life, you need to care for yourself holistically. And so those are some ways that you can do that, and I guess my main point here, and what I really wanted to show you guys, is how you can help your mental health by nourishing your nervous system. I don't think that a lot of people really talk about that. Like, we talk about, like, do body work, meditate, do deep breathing. Like, it helps you, but that's why it helps you. That's why when you're working with holistic health and you're working on your nutrition, you're working on your thoughts, you're working on your energy, that's why it all helps, is because you are nourishing your nervous system in those moments. Because if you're only taking medications to, deal with your anxiety or your ADHD or your depression, whatnot, if you're only taking medications for that, you're actually harming not only your parasympathetic nervous system, but you're also harming your sympathetic nervous system, because you're not doing the work and doing the things, first to help those systems. So I definitely, of course, I'm not advocating you guys to get off your depression and anxiety medications or whatnot, but look at other ways that you can overcome your mental illness and overcome your mental dis-ease. I have a client, and she is so amazing, and I am so grateful for her because she has taught me so much through working with her. When she came to me, she was extremely anxious and frazzled and just distressed, and she tried to come off her anxiety medication cold turkey before she came and see me, and she actually went into the hospital and almost had a cardiac arrest because her doctor didn't tell her that her anxiety medication is actually a benzo and is actually a narcotic. And so her body and her mind and everything in her entire physical system got addicted to having to go to that drug in order to calm herself down. So her body freaked out when she tried to come off of it, and she had to go into the hospital because her doctor didn't tell her that. And I am so, so sorry if you've been in a situation like that. I wish the medical leaders of our world would inform us more on what they're prescribing us and how it's affecting these different parts of our body. And that's why I'm such an advocate for holistic health and taking your health in your hands, because we just can't count on these people anymore, especially with the mental health. It breaks my heart. But yeah, so she's slowly, now she's back, she got herself back on the medications to help herself and help her body, but she's slowly tapering off of them. And she is, in conjunction with tapering off of the anxiety medication, she's also meditating more, going more into nature, working with prayer. And I gave her some flower essences to work with. And those flower essences are transforming her reality right now. She is, for the first time in years, I also gave her a Reiki attunement, so that energy is circulating through her all the time. But all of these things in connection are actually transforming her life. For the first time in her life, she is believing that she can truly, truly be happy and experience joy in her life. She's actually able to experience pleasure, not just with herself and in herself, but also with her partner. For a long time, there was a lot of trauma there, and that they were, having a hard time navigating, but now they're actually able to experience pleasure together and experience joy together through intimacy. And it's because of this work that she's doing. She's, tapering herself off of the drugs that are actually keeping her in this stagnant place and numbing her from being able to actually feel, and doing things to cleanse out her nervous system and to rewire her mind, body and spirit to experience the joy and the bliss, and to actually navigate the sadness, the anxiety in a healthy way. And it makes me so happy because I don't want to lose another friend to suicide. I don't want to lose a follower to suicide. I don't want to lose anybody to it, It's honestly the saddest thing that I can think about, somebody taking their life because our society hasn't shown them the right tools to help themselves. And it breaks my heart that our society as a collective doesn't know how to help ourselves, especially with depression. I have so many family members who I know still don't know how to get out of their depression, and it breaks my heart to see it. And I do my best to be there and to share the knowledge with you guys so that you can learn this, and so that you can take care of yourself, and so that we can all build this, resiliency together and inform each other and use our platforms to inform each other. And that's why I'm so grateful that we have things like Suicide Awareness Week, so that we can let people know, like, yeah, hey, this is a problem. Like, check in with your friends, check in with your family, find new ways to take care of yourself. If you're depressed or you're like in a low place, you got to look at your life and see what's causing you to get there, because it has to be something. It has to be something that's getting you into that place, and it's up to us to figure out what it is and to navigate ourselves out of that and to find what's on the other side, because there is such a beautiful, beautiful life waiting for you. And there are so many modalities and tools that are there for you to explore so that you can get out of this dark space. And, for some people that's doing yoga. For some people that's meditating. For me, that's using body oils and singing and working with yoga and stuff like that and Reiki. But for you, that might just be working out, or that might be making art, or that might be going on a podcast and sharing like this, or that might even be going on traveling. Figuring out what actually brings you joy and making that your top priority. What really, really gets you happy, what really gets your serotonin releasing and makes you extremely joyous, do that. Make that your number one. And once you make that your number one, everything else will come into place. The work, the money, the stability, all of that will come into place when you make your mental health your highest priority. And we need to come into a space where our society, that is our peak is our mental health, and focusing on that and then allowing the other things to take place. And I understand that sometimes financial stress and instability can cause, anxiety and depression and suicidal tendencies. And if that's what's going on with you, figure out a way that you can gather your stability and gather your finances in a way that's serving you better. And I am such a strong advocate that there is a way out there for you to make money and to do what you love and support yourself and be happy through it. There are so many opportunities for us out there, and it's up to us to set that caliber and up to us to decide which opportunities what we're going to do. And when you step up and choose to do opportunities that are not just good for your mind, but are also good for your body and your spirit, your entire world would change. When I quit serving, my mental health freaking grew out the roof, because I was no longer in an environment and in a job and spending my time and energy in a space that was mentally and emotionally exhausting, especially for a highly sensitive person and an empath. And I wasn't eating all the shitty food that I was getting while I was serving. And so once I made that choice, not only did my financial abundance grow, but so did my mental health. And so especially because I feel like a lot of us, our exhaustion and our depression a lot of times comes from our work. It does. And so it's up to us to figure out which tools, which modalities prop us up and keep us withheld in our emotional stability. And I just am sending so much love and praise to you guys and praying that you're able to navigate this in your life and you're able to find your mental wellness and figure out which holistic health path works for you. Because it's different for all of us. We're all different. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different things that we enjoy and different things that we dislike. Some people, they're annoyed with yoga and meditation. Well, okay, then do something different that gets you in that healing space. There's something for all of us. We just got to tap in and dig in and just get into the nitty-gritty things that bring us joy, and to trust that and to allow it to really give us confidence and allow it to really vamp up our lives, because you deserve it. You 100% deserve to experience bliss, joy, happiness, bounty. You deserve all of it. And it's there for you. It's waiting for you. And if you're in a space where you feel that disharmony and you feel like you're not there, you got to do the work and figure out how you can get there, because it's ready for you. You just have to do the work. And it can be beautiful, and it can be fun, and it can be expansive. And it's going to have to take getting out of your comfort zone. It's going to have to take sacrifice and letting things go. but you can get there and you deserve it. I send so much love and healing energy to you guys, so much praise, and I just want you to be happy. I just want us all to, know how to navigate our mental world and know how to navigate times when we're in mental distress, because it happens. And the more that we can accept that it's going to happen, and the more that we learn what helps us during those times, the better we're able to get out of it. So I hope that this podcast helped you guys, and thank you so much. If you would like to support me and support the podcast, definitely check out earthny.com. I have events and gatherings and ceremonies. I have products up there that you can check out. And I've been thinking about starting a Patreon soon so that you guys can support me and I can give you guys more content. I also have a spiritual blog on there, so you can check out and learn more things about spiritual tools and spiritual wellness, as well as astrology updates that are up there on my blog. And yeah, just check out earthly.com, support it. And if you need any help, please reach out to me. Just email me, hit me up, tell me what you're going through, and I'll do my best to help you. I do oracle and tarot readings. I can do long distance healing sessions, in-person healing sessions. I just want to take all of these things that have been helping me over the years, and I'm just giving them to you guys because I'm ready to change the world in that way and to let people know that this stuff works. I know some of it might seem woo-woo, and I know it might be weird that I can send you Reiki through distance and time and that you can actually receive it, but it works, and it's worked for so many people. And just believe in it and allow yourself to experience that joy and allow yourself to take the risks necessary so that you can be emotionally sound and capable and resilient. So I love you guys, and I hope that you enjoyed this podcast. Thank you so much to Dasher for the intro song on my podcast, his remix of Forest Fires by James Blake. It's amazing. I love it. He's coming out with an album soon, so if you don't already, follow Dasher on Spotify, DASHR. Definitely check it out. His Instagram is at Dasher_music. And yeah, just all the love to him, and thank you to him for helping my emotional stability, because that's my man, and he definitely helps me out. And if you want to follow me, definitely check me out at earthny_energy on Instagram. And then you can also follow the podcast's Instagram, which is at Wild Medicine Podcast. So thank you guys, and I appreciate you, and definitely share this with your friends and family who you know could use this information. The more we spread this awareness, the more that we can actually change lives. And sometimes that is just sharing this podcast or telling somebody something that you learned in this podcast. Share this knowledge. Let's use the internet. Let's use all of this to create a conscious revolution to better our brothers and sisters around the world. All right, Reiki to you guys, and see you next time.